Summarizing means explaining an idea in a shortened form. Think about meaningful and attractive titles. Your turn, do not add your own ideas or opinions. You can restructure and reframe the sentence, but make sure that you are not leaving out the important points and subpoints. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram, the Temple of Excellence. I am Nanda Kishore, Faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, Mysuru. In my previous session, I had discussed about idioms and phrases. And in today's session, I am going to discuss about summarizing. If you don't know what is summarizing, there will be a paragraph given and you have to write the meaning of the paragraph without losing its meaning, without losing its main content. And how do you see it? I will be teaching you in this session. What is summarizing basically? Summarizing is an important study skill. Remember this, important study skill basically involving compression of ideas. You are going to compress the ideas, you are going to compress the paragraphs that you are going to read, and this summarizing will be very helpful for answering passage or comprehension, which will be asked for 10 marks in your examination. This summarizing will not be asked directly, but as I told you, this skill or this study method will be definitely helpful for you in solving comprehension or passage for 10 marks. So you are going to basically compress the ideas or compress the paragraphs. It can also help students to optimize on study time. Optimize the study time. How? For instance, few students, they have a tendency of go on reading everything. So they by heart everything they study. I have seen a lot of students. What do? They basically study everything, they mug up everything and they write the answers the way they have studied as it is on the answer scripts. Yes, accepted, you will get full marks if you have written as it is. It is nothing but photocopy. You are not going to write the words as you have read in the textbook or in the answer or in any mode of answers you have read. Remember this, summarizing is a study skill. You are going to read first, you are going to note down the points, important points first, and then going to summarize. In the next slide, I am going to teach you how to summarize. But remember, you are going to compress the idea. That is the basic concept. In other words, summarizing means explaining an idea in a shortened form, in a short form. Let's imagine there are 10 lines of an idea. There is an idea and it is in 10 lines. And you should have the ability to express the same idea without losing its meaning within 2 to 3 lines. I have heard some educated man or some pandit saying that anybody who knows about Mahabharata could summarize it in one sentence, within one sentence. That's how strong summarizing should be to explain Mahabharata. Mahabharata is an epic, and the Mahabharata epic is written in thousands of pages. And how do you expect a person to summarize this epic Mahabharata in just one sentence or in one line? And he says, I've heard, he says it is possible. So that's how strong summarizing skill should be. So shortened form without changing the meaning or the original text. Original text in the sense you are not supposed to write the text as it is to the answer. No, the text in the sense without losing its main idea. And how do you summarize? How to summarize now? How do you summarize? There are 5 or 6 points that you need to remember. First one, identify the main and sub points and note them down. And most importantly, this summarizing session will not only help second PUC students or any other students who are going through summarizing chapter as their syllabus, but remember, it could also be very helpful for those people who are preparing for competitive exams. For instance, Sub-Inspector of Police in Karnataka, they have this called Pressure Rating, which almost is similar to summarizing. In Pressure Rating, you are going to compress the idea, compress the topic within few words. There will be blocks given, and these tips will definitely help for those candidates who are preparing for such kind of examination. The very first point is identify the main and sub points and note them down. This is nothing but jotting down. But where do you note them down? You have to note them down in your mind. Because in examination, I have attended myself, you are not going to get any extra sheet as such. You have to remember everything what you have read, digest it, store it in your brain, and you are going to put them back in the block, in the space which is allotted, and your words should not exceed those blocks. There will be maybe 30 or 40 blocks, that's all. There will be maybe 25 lines or 30 lines. So each line will be replaced by one word. That's how strong your summarizing or pressure rating skill should be. Second point, write complete sentences and combine them into a coherent paragraph, meaningful paragraph. Few people, they just take up one word, one key word from every line and they write it in the space allotted, or they just join all these keywords and they try to combine it, which doesn't give the complete sense or the complete meaning. Don't do it. That is not called summarizing. Remember this point. You are going to shorten, compress the ideas, but the main meaning, the intention should not be lost. Even if you leave out few sub points, it's fine. But the main concept, there will be an idea, the theme, it should not be lost when somebody or when the evaluators read your answers. He or she should be able to understand whatever you have written. They should be able to get the complete idea out of the answer you have written. Third one, do not add your own ideas or opinions. Don't do it. This is not applicable in all the summary or all the summarizing skill that you follow. But to be on a safer side, do not add your own ideas or opinions. Fourth one, try to give a suitable title to the summary. First thing that you need to learn is about giving the title. In the paragraph, in the comprehension, they will not be giving you any titles to the passage. So the very first thing that you need to know, read the passage, try to get the theme and try to understand what it is trying to give away, and depending on the context, depending on the paragraph given there, try to give the title, suitable title, not any title which makes no sense. Remember this, you have to give the suitable title to the passage you have read. Fifth one, substitute the expressions given below with one word each. Remember, I told you idioms and phrases. This is the reason why we tell you, instead of elaborating the sentence, you can substitute with idioms and phrases or with one word. What does it mean? Let us see in the next slide. One has been done for you. Now, one has been done for you. What is that one? As I told you, substitute the entire expression with one word. One is done here. The first one, a short story that teaches a moral or truth. What is it called? A fable. What is fable? Fable is nothing but a story which contains animal characters and it wants to teach the reader moral or truth. In first PUC English syllabus, there is a chapter called A Gentleman of the Jungle, written by Jomo Kenyatta. If you have read it, this is nothing but fable. That chapter is fable form. Second one, we know there are a lot of words and we are going to replace those words with one word. And in the bottom of this slide, answers are given and we are going to pick up these answers and fill in the blanks in order to replace the entire sentence here. A story about great people who actually never lived. There are options given here. soliloquy, omnipotent, portend, mythology. So the correct answer is mythology. What is mythology? It is a story. It could be an epic, just like Ramayana or Mahabharata. And the great people, Krishna or Rama or Hanuman, those great people, they are gods and goddesses who are referred in mythology. But still, it could be about people who actually never lived. Lived or never lived is not the concept here, but in general it is considered mythology. Speaking one's thought aloud to oneself. What is this? Speaking one's thoughts aloud to oneself is soliloquy. Soliloquy. To warn someone of impending danger is portend. These are the examples, these are the activities taken from the workbook. One who is all powerful, omnipotent. Omnipotent. There are a few more examples. One who sees the brighter side of life, optimist. One who always thinks positive. One who always thinks positive, or one who sees the brighter side of life is called optimist. One who thinks negative is pessimist. One who thinks bad or one who sees the darker side of life is called pessimist. One who believes in existence of God, orphanage, honorary, aviary, theist. He is theist. One who believes in existence of God. One who doesn't believe, anti-theist. A place where orphans live, very easy, orphanage. Orphanage is done. Theist is done. Optimist. Two more are remaining. Serving without pay is honorary. Doing service without expecting any salary or any payment is honorary. Place for keeping birds, aviary. Place for keeping chickens is coop. Chicken coop. Remember, there are a lot of words other than this. There are a lot of single simple words which can just replace all these sentences, all these words. Remember this, there are a lot of words. When instead of writing one who sees the brighter side of life, we can simply write optimist. I saw an optimist who dreamt something big. I saw one who sees the brighter side of life, who sees big. Instead of that, you can replace optimist. And these are the skills that you need to follow while writing your answers. That's how you comprehend. That's how you write the answer with much more meaning. Few students, they just write whatever they have written in the first line. It will be repeated in the 5th. It will be repeated in 8th. It will be repeated in 12th or till the last line. I have seen students writing because they don't know what is summarizing, maybe how to present the ideas or how to write the answers. Even though they know the answers in their mother tongue, they fail to write or they fail to put this answer in English. It's because lack of practice. I told you, I keep telling you, practice makes man perfect. The more examples you take and the more you write and the more you practice, the better you become. My father used to tell me, I have heard my teachers telling me, one time writing is better than reading 100 times. So if you write one time, it is better, it is equal to reading 101 times or 100 times. Why? Because while you write, you know how well you have flow of ideas or flow of thoughts. Example, there is one such example which I have taken from the workbook. Look at the following sentence. The sentence goes like this: there was a 20% increase in the taxes, and so there were serious protests against it. Think about it. Let's count how many words are written here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 words are written here. And how will it be replaced when we change it? Change the sentence structure. This sentence can be rewritten as a 20% tax increase resulted in serious protests. Let us see how many words are used here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Most probably 60 to 70% is written here. Not even 60, maybe 55% of words are written. 13 to 8 or 9. Comparatively shorter sentence, and we didn't leave out any of the important topic here. The sentence means the same. It is giving the same meaning as the previous sentence without changing its meaning, without changing its context. The sentence has been reframed and restructured. So this is called summarizing. Activity, there is an activity I have taken up, and there are many examples given in your workbook. They have taken up a paragraph and they have given the answer for the paragraph. Try to read it and try to solve by yourself. And this paragraph or this passage, I have taken it so that I can just write the answer and make you understand in a better way. There are many examples in the textbook, in the workbook. Try to go through the answers as well. They have given the answer. Try to compare and contrast how well the meaning is extracted from the paragraph and how well the words are substituted without changing its main ideas or without changing its main context. So this is the paragraph. Read the following passage and write its summary. India, and remember this, you are going to read the paragraph without leaving even a single word, single line. Word by word, read it, try to store it in your head, try to remember everything without reading and without storing the ideas of this passage in your head. You cannot put forth your ideas on paper. In this slide, I have to change back and forth, but it's fine. But in your examination, if you're not able to read and digest in one shot, it's fine. Try to read as many times as you can and try to store everything that you have read. If you cannot store everything you have read, it's fine. You will have plenty of time. Make sure that you are going to attempt all the questions there. India is a land of festivals. Each state has its own festivals apart from the common festivals celebrated all over the country. Many of our festivals are harvest or spring festivals. So basically it is giving the idea about what we are reading here. It is about Indian festivals. The Basant Panchami celebrates the advent of the spring season. It is a joyous festival dedicated to Saraswati. Try to remember the points I have taught you. Jot down main points and sub points. So what are we talking about here? We are talking about Indian festivals, and most of the festivals are harvest and spring festivals. One such festival is that Basant Panchami, which is dedicated to goddess Saraswati. The goddess, who is goddess Saraswati? The goddess of learning, literature and arts. This festival comes on the 5th day. You should know when it comes. 5th day of the month of May according to the Indian calendar. According to the Vedas, it is believed that the goddess purifies our hearts and gives us knowledge. The goddess blesses us with the capacity to appreciate beauty and truth and inspire us to write poetry, create art or anything of aesthetic value. In the second paragraph, we get to see that ancient people worshipped all elements of nature such as the sun, moon, rain, wind, rivers, trees, animals, etc. The composers of the Vedas lived on the banks of a river which came to be called Saraswati. They worshipped the goddess who was the presiding deity of the river. Even today on Basant Panchami day, the goddess is worshipped with great devotion. People worship the deity by offering flowers. By reading all these lines, all these sentences, you should be able to come to a conclusion that we just spoke about Indian festivals. And as per the instructions, you need to give the title for the passage you have read. Think about different titles. Think about meaningful and attractive titles. Your titles necessarily not be the same as you have read. Few students, they have the tendency of picking up one line from this paragraph and they will write the same line as it is. Don't do it. Don't write the same line as you have picked up from the paragraph. Instead, try to think for a moment or two and try to come up with your own title. Coming up with your own title will fetch you good marks. It can fetch you a mark more. And after reading this, you should be able to store everything. As I told you, first one is giving the title and trying to store everything in your head. So if I can remember what I have read, I could just speak in front of you all saying that it is about the Indian festival. The Basant Panchami festival is dedicated to the goddess Saraswati, who is the goddess of literature, art and poetry. It is celebrated on the 5th day of May, and people who resided, who composed a lot of literature, they stayed or resided on the river bank Saraswati. They worshipped sun, moon, trees, etc. And even today, the goddess Saraswati is worshipped by offering flowers. I am able to remember everything that I have read. It depends on how well you remember and how well you present it. It could be orally or in a written form. But 90% you will not be asked in any oral form. You will be asked to write it in a written form. So let us start writing it, and whatever I write in the blank space may necessarily not be the answer in your examination. Don't try to stick on to the answer I am writing. You can just elaborate it or you can just compress more. I prefer using simpler sentences and simple words so that I could reach most of the viewers and most of my students. Very first thing what we have to do, title. So I prefer giving the title Indian Festivals. And I start writing that in India, people celebrate lot of festivals or many festivals. Full stop. On the month of May or in the month of May, Basant Panchami festival is celebrated to worship goddess Saraswati by offering flowers. Offering flowers even today. You can write even today. Remember this, I have just compiled major and majority of the ideas within 3 lines here. And as I told you, you can elaborate a line or 2, or you can compress even further. You can also write the composers of Veda lived on the river bank of Saraswati, who inspired them to compose art and literature. That's all. It looks simple. I have covered majority of the important points. So what is the main intention? Celebrating Basant Panchami. And why do we celebrate? It's because Basant Panchami is dedicated to river goddess Saraswati, goddess. And why is she important? And how do they celebrate? And when do they celebrate? In the month of May. And how? By offering flowers. And I have included the composers of Veda lived on the river bank of Saraswati, who inspired them to compose art and literature without changing much of the context and the meaning of the typed paragraph. I have written every bit of the information here. You can elaborate, you can modify, you can improvise your own answer depending on how well you write, depending on how well you study and understand the paragraph. Remember this, you can substitute the entire line with just one word, you can modify it, you can restructure and reframe the sentence, but make sure that you are not leaving out the important points and subpoints, and the meaning should be according to the paragraph which is given to you. Don't forget this important point. If you lose the meaning from the context, then the entire summary or summarizing will go wrong. So that's it for today's session. In my next session, I'm going to discuss about the topic paragraph writing or expansion. This is also one such important topics. From the examination point of view, they will not be asking you to summarize or to expand a paragraph or to write a paragraph based on given hints, but these are the concepts which will help you to elaborate your 4-mark and 6-mark answer. So let us meet in the next week. Until then, keep practicing. Have a good day. Take care.